What up, everybody? Thanks for checking in the Mamba podcast. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jackson, and it's Friday, so you know what that means. Time for me to get into my Week 6 picks and give out my fantasy lineups. But first things first, I want to talk about baseball. So if you haven't heard by now, Dodgers had a pretty epic Game 5 with the Nationals last night. Long, grueling battle, but in the end, they came out on top. Did a whole lot of unconventional things that a lot of people, scratching their heads at the time, but, ultimately worked out for them. They pulled Rich Hill pretty early. Julio Urias came in relief. Kenley Jansen came in the 7th inning, and then he threw the most pitches he's ever thrown in his career with like 51, I think. And then, the biggest story of them all, Kershaw coming in the ninth to get the save. Freaking King Kersh, man. He's been criticized a lot for not being able to get it done, and these are the kind of things that he's trying to do to go out and prove that he can get it done, and try to spark this team to see that he's doing everything he can because he wants this ring so bad, and hopefully can motivate the guys to be just as hungry as he is. So, big win for them in Game 5, going to face the Cubs in the NLCS. It's going to be a really tough matchup for them. The Dodgers, really grueling, emotional series with the Nationals they just got through with. Cubs, finished it in 4, so they got a couple extra days rest. They are a young, talented, stacked lineup, and they've already been there before. This is their second NLCS with this essentially the same crew or group of guys. So they're above average in just about every single facet of the game. They got the horses on the mound, and they've got a great mix of young athletic talent and old grizzled vets all throughout the field. Hard to find a weak spot in their lineup, but yeah, it should make out for a great series. And then we got the ALCS with the Indians going against the Jays. Tough not seeing the Red Sox make it. You wish that Poppy could, go a little bit further in the playoffs. Hope ultimately make it into the World Series. Just wasn't in the cards for him this time, and we're gonna miss you, Poppy. Thanks for everything. But yeah, the Indians the Windians, excuse me, just keep on rolling. They're looking really good too, and Boston's strength all year was their offense, and Cleveland's pitching just completely took their bats out of the game for them. They couldn't get any momentum going, couldn't get any rallies going with their bats, and ultimately it cost them. And that's not to take away from what Cleveland's been doing. Their pitching has been, they did everything that they needed to do to keep those bats from getting hot, and it ultimately worked out for them. And they're also, getting a lot of production from everywhere else. A lot of guys coming in with some key hits, and they're just, firing on all cylinders right now. But speaking of firing all cylinders and trying to keep some bats cool, they are definitely going to have to do everything that they can, the Indians are, to try and keep the Blue Jays bats cold. Because, boy, I'm telling you, the Blue Jays bats are hot right now. If you talk about a murderer's row, you got Donaldson, Encarnacion, and bats back to back to back, and they're just crushing the ball all over the field right now. And then on top of that, you also got Tulo, you got BJ Upton, or Melvin Upton, sorry. You got Russell Martin, and you got Kevin Pillar, who mainly hit for average, but they can put it out anytime they want to. And it's just those are 7 guys right there that can just beat you and make you pay. So going to be a tough task for Cleveland to try and stop the hot bats of the Jays, but this also is going to be another really good series. 2 teams that have been playing well all season long. And all in all, we got a really great championship series from both the AL and the NL coming up next week, and I just can't wait to watch. All right, fine, I'll make a pick. So I'll admit I am a little nervous for the Dodgers in this one. The Cubs have been playing really great, and like I said, I don't think I can give them any more praise than what I just said earlier. But yeah, I'm pretty nervous. They have the home field advantage. They have a few extra days rest. They can get back to their regular rotation. And yeah, the main thing I'm worried about is game 1 we're probably gonna be throwing Maeda, and he's been looking pretty shaky in his last 2 starts. His last game, as we all know, he got ran out in 2, and his last start before that was the last game of the season against the Giants, where he got ran out in about the same amount of time. So I'm a little nervous. Hopefully he can pull it together for this. Be the road warrior we need him to be. I have a strong feeling this series is going 5. I can't make a decision yet, which probably lets you know that I'm kind of leaning towards the Cubs. But we'll have to wait and see. And then in the AL, it's the same thing. It's going to come down to if Toronto's bats are hot. I think they can keep this momentum going, even though Cleveland does have home field advantage. It's going to be a great series. I just think Toronto's bats are just way too hot, and they got all the momentum going for them right now. But if their bats cool off, or if they can't get anything going against Cleveland's great pitching, then things could change. All right, now it's time for me to get into my picks for Week 6. So last week I went 7-7. A little whatever. I'm not happy, not mad. I wish I did a little bit better, but hey, can't go wrong. As long as I'm not losing. So that brings my overall total from the season to 40-37, which is still good. Looking to improve this week. It's gonna be a tough week. A lot of tough matchups. We got a lot of matchups where teams are either really similar in playing each other, or what one team's strength cancels out another team's strength. Like the Falcons and Seahawks, for instance. Falcons have a good offense, and Seattle's got a good defense. Hard to pick. So I am filming this on a Friday morning. So yes, Thursday night's game already happened, but I did make a pick. Here was my predictions for the game. I tweeted it out before the game even started, so no arguments from me here. I thought that the Broncos were going to win. They kind of laid an egg. Almost pulled it out. Chargers almost lost, and the only way they haven't lost yet this year in the fourth quarter with a Hail Mary. So could have happened. I was kind of hoping for it to happen for a lot of reasons, but it didn't happen. Broncos really got to figure out what's going on. I know Kubiak's out. He had the migraine. They gave him the week off and all that. So that definitely affects the team, but, where they haven't looked that great. So that was last night's game, but now it's time to move into the Sunday games. So first up, we got the Niners at the Bills. Give me the Bills at home. They started off the season a little slow. People wondering, what's wrong with his Bills? Bob's Rex to be fired. But recently, ever since they fired Greg Roman, and they've gotten Shady McCoy a little bit more active. He's looked a lot better in the last couple weeks. And as a whole, the team's been coming together and playing a lot better in the last couple weeks. And also, the Niners just suck. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Niner fans. Cap's coming back, but I don't really think it'll matter. Also, for those of you wondering why Cap hadn't been playing so far, everyone was wondering, blah, 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 was he really that bad? And no. Turns out he had this little claim or this little clause in his contract where if he got injured, he was guaranteed like a large sum of money, upwards like 10 plus million, I believe. So they just worked that out, figured out. I don't know if they got the guaranteed money down, or if they completely removed it from his contract altogether. But yeah, they've worked it out. He's gonna be playing now, and just goes to show that a team doesn't really care about winning and losing, as long as they don't spend too much money. So yeah, just another reason why people can't stand the NFL. On top of it already being October, and hey, let's all wear pink. But I don't think they tell everybody, that they only give about 8% of what they make to actual cancer research and funding and all that stuff. So yeah. Finding another NFL, finding more ways to just, fuck really good things up. All right, now I digress. So next up, we got the Eagles at the Redskins. Give me the Eagles. Skins just were gift wrapped that win by the Ravens last week. I'm still not impressed by them at all. And the Eagles, tough game, just one of those bad games you're gonna have a couple times during the season. More than likely, that was one of them. This will be a good bounce back game for them. Carson Wentz is going to prove that he's not just a one hit wonder, and he can get it done. And the Redskins aren't the greatest team, but it's any road win for a rookie is good. So yeah, give me the Eagles on the road. Next, we got Cleveland at Tennessee. This is one of those similar team matchups where both teams stink. So ultimately, I think that Titans don't stink as much. So give me the Titans at home. They've been running the ball well lately. Mariota's looking a little bit better, and their offense is really starting to look a little bit better. With their running game resurgence. And yeah, the Browns. What else can you say? I guess Kessler's coming back, but still, I like Kessler, a USC guy, but come on. So yeah, Titans at home. Next we got Baltimore at New York facing the Giants. Give me the Ravens in this one. Like I said earlier, they pretty much just gift wrapped that win for the Redskins. Had a couple mistakes late and cost them, but they're still a pretty good team. They have a good record for a reason. But yeah, I think they can have a bounce back week against a pretty dysfunctional Giants team who just look all sorts of distracted and dysfunctional, man. It's kind of starting to sound like it's getting pretty ugly. Started off with the Odell stuff, and then then his quarterback and his coach kind of passive aggressively throwing him under the bus. He looked a little bit tamer this week, but then it turns out that after the game, I guess a few guys got in a little scuffle in the locker room. Some stuff like someone was in my personal space or whatever. So yeah, just a whole lot of distractions, dysfunction going on in the Giants, and you hate to see that kind of stuff happen and affect the season. But hopefully they can figure this stuff out, get it all fit, get it all resolved, and they can go back to playing some good football. All right, now we got Carolina at New Orleans. So far this season, both teams have been really underwhelming. I personally think the Panthers more so than the Saints. The Saints have just one of the worst defenses, but they haven't really been known to be a defensive team in the last few seasons, like the Panthers have, and their defense is just looked atrocious recently. Just getting their secondaries getting torched. They're not really getting a pass rush, and their linebackers are great, but they can't do it all, and they're just really taking advantage of that lack of a pass rush and lack of coverage. So. But they do got Cam back this week, so that's definitely going to help them from their offensively inept game on Monday. So yeah, ultimately I think that Cam can come back and do Cam things and take advantage of a really bad Saints defense. So yeah, Panthers on the road. Another tough matchup where the teams are pretty similar with Jacksonville going to Chicago. Again, both teams stink. I think the Jags aren't going to stink as much as the Bears. It looks like the Bears have almost completely given up so far in the season. Who knows if Cutler's coming back? And even if he does come back, I really don't think it's gonna have much of it's gonna affect them that much. And then the Jags, they just want to be good. They keep getting hyped up about oh, this is their year with breakthrough and yada yada, and everyone wants them to be good. So they're still in it. Bears aren't. So give me the Jags on the road. And like I said, tough matchups coming up. So we got another one with the LA Rams going to Detroit. These teams, I wouldn't say they both stink. I mean, the Rams do stink, but they're just the two probably the weirdest teams. Because the Rams stink, but they have a winning record, and the Lions stink and they have a winning record too, I believe. But just weird stuff going on both teams. I like the Lions in this one. Their offense is starting to look. Their offense has been so up and down all season. Like 1 week, Stafford's throwing all over the place. The next week, he's got nothing. But I think this is one of those weeks they're at home, and they can take advantage of a pretty bad Rams secondary who just lost their top cover corner. So, but ultimately I think the Lions can get the win in this one. All right, next up we got Pittsburgh going to Miami. Give me Pittsburgh on the road. Enough said there. Pittsburgh's offense is just too good, and Miami's just again had high hopes for them to make the next leap, but just doesn't look like it's going to be this season for them. So, yeah, Steelers on the road. All right, now we got Cincinnati going to New England. Give me the Patriots. They're the best team right now. Tom Brady looked terrific, as always, last week. Didn't miss a beat. It looks like it's going to be pretty damn near impossible stopping Gronk and Bennett. Those two guys on the field together are just, I can't figure out a way to stop them. They're too big for corners, and they're too fast for safeties and linebackers. So, I mean, what do you do? They're essentially using the tight ends as receivers and the receivers as tight ends doing the short route stuff. It's pretty mind-boggling if you watch it. But yeah, Bengals are playing pretty good this season. I just don't think they have enough to stop the Patriots offense. So Pats at home. All right, and now we got Kansas City going to Oakland. Chiefs are coming off a bye, so they've had an extra week to prepare for the Raiders, and they're a pretty dynamic offense so far. Never thought I'd get to say that. Dynamic offense from the Raiders. Man, it feels good to say. But yeah, the Chiefs, they look about as above average as you can be as above average. They're not great at anything, but they're pretty good at just about everything so far this season. I know they've been kind of up and down a little bit, but if you just watch the games, they're just pretty good. You say, how's their passing? Pretty good. You say, how's their O-line? Pretty good. How's their defense look so far? Pretty good. You can't say, maybe the only thing you can say about them is their running game. But hopefully, Jamal Charles will come back and he had an extra week of rest, to get back into the swing of things, and hopefully he can get their running game going to where you can say that they're pretty good too. But ultimately, I think the Raiders can get the win in this one. Like I said, their offense is rolling right now. They just got to keep on rolling. Carr's playing great. Got to keep finding ways to get Amari Cooper open. But in the meantime, Michael Crabtree's playing really great too. It looks like Latavius Murray isn't going to play again this week, but it's okay. We got Jalen Richard and Denard Washington. Both guys just playing really. They're doing exactly what they need to do, and that's just don't turn over the ball and get positive yards, and that's all they've been doing so far. Can't ask for anything else. We just need the defense to keep the score down and keep the yardage down. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. So yeah, if all those things can go the way I think they can go, give me the Raiders at home. Now we got the game that, in my opinion, was the toughest pick. We got Atlanta going to Seattle. Matt, like I said earlier, matchup of a good offense versus a good defense. The Falcons have been the real big surprise this season, playing as well as they've played on offense. And last week they surprised everyone with how well they played on defense. That was going to be the biggest test of the season for them so far, playing the Broncos, and they beat them pretty easily. Broncos are one of the top defenses in the league, and they did what they did against them pretty easily. So now they got to do it 2 weeks in a row, playing a really tough defense on the road. And I'm not sure they can get it done this week. So I'm taking Seattle. Seattle's got a lot of things going their way. Great defense where their strength is their secondary, so they can contain those receivers. They've also got some pretty good run stopping linebackers who can help contain those running backs. And also they're coming off of a bye, so they've had an extra week to prepare for this. And then also they're at home, with the 12th man. That's on, then probably the best home field advantage in the entire league. So it should be a great game. I'm going to be looking forward to watching it. Hopefully it's on locally here so that I can, get a chance to see it. And yeah, give me the Seahawks at home. All right, next up we got Dallas going to Green Bay. Give me the Packers. Even though their offense started off pretty slow, they've really picked it up in recent weeks. And, the biggest criticism of the Cowboys, as well as they've been this season too, don't get me wrong, they've been playing well this season too. Well, the biggest criticism that the Cowboys have had all season is their defense. And when Aaron Rodgers is being Aaron Rodgers, doing Aaron Rodgers things, I don't think anyone can hang with him, especially this Cowboys defense. As impressive as the Cowboys offense has been, with 2 rookies, freaking Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott's the leading rusher in the NFL. Everyone knew he was going to be good. I don't think they thought he was going to be this good this early. But I just think that the Packers offense is just too good, and their defense isn't going to be able to keep up. So yeah, give me the Packers at home. All right, and before I get into the Sunday night main event, I just want to know who picks these freaking games. Because whoever thought that the Colts playing against the Texans in Houston was going to be a good game needs to be fired. Because this game's going to suck, This is the final matchup this is the final tough matchup where both teams suck of the week. And it has to be the freaking main event on Sunday night. And then people are wondering why the NFL ratings are down this year. It's because of stuff like this, man. So anyway, give me the Colts on the road. Both teams stink. And I just think that, Andrew Luck is still one of the top quarterbacks in the league, even though he's picking himself up off the turf every week. Colts got to protect him if they want to really, really win. I think he's enough to get a W on his own, as we've seen in the past, but they really got to protect him. Texans don't really have much of a pass rush this season, and they also haven't been able to figure out how to get DeAndre Hopkins open, which is freaking ridiculous. He's one of the best receivers in the league. He's the next Larry Fitzgerald, and you can't figure out a way to get him open? Like, come on. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little pissed off that this is a Sunday night main event, when we got freaking Cowboys, Packers, and Falcons, Seahawks, and, games like, and Patriots and Bengals, games like that on deck earlier in the day. But yeah, gonna be another main event stinker. But yeah, give me the Colts. All right, and finally on the Monday night matchup, we got the New York Jets going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Another tough matchup. This time it's just both teams have been so up and down this season. You just haven't been able to get a grip on them. The Cardinals a little bit more so than the Jets. Jets have been mainly down, but they have had some bright spots, but they just can't figure out on offense. I think Fitzpatrick has like 9 interceptions in the last 2 or 3 games, something ridiculous. And it's really affecting their defense, who surprisingly, known for their defensive line and pass rush, has not had any pass rush this season. It's very weird. And the Cardinals, just same thing. It's like they were some people's pick to go to the Super Bowl, but they haven't really shown that they are worthy of being able to make it to the Super Bowl. But with that being said, I still like the Cardinals at home. They've been trying to do what they did last season. That hasn't been working so far. But what has been working for them is just old school style, where they run the ball. David Johnson's been running really well. He was really high up as one of the early picks you should take on a lot of fantasy draft boards. And in my opinion, I was thinking like, well, what the heck? Why? Like, who's David Johnson? And I think he heard me, so he's telling me to shut up. But yeah, he's been running the ball very well, and it's really helping their offense out and really opening up their play action game. And I think that their defense, still a good defense. You got a lot of big name guys out there. You got Patrick Peterson, you got Honey Badger. You got Calais Campbell. You got guys like that on the defense, and I think they can take advantage of a struggling Jets offense. Plus, they're at home. Like I said, I really like home field advantage. So yeah, give me the Cardinals at home. All right, so those were my week 6 picks, and now it's time for me to get into my fantasy lineups. Before I say anything, I just want to shout out 2 people before I get things started. One, I want to shout out myself for laying the smackdown on everyone's Rudy Poo candy ass this week. Second person I want to thank is my man, Tommy Terrific, Tom Brady. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. So I'm going to just get right into it. I got Tom Brady and Martellus Bennett in both my leagues. They gave me about 60 points combined in both leagues. And from right there, that was it. That was it. Game was over. Everyone knew it. But I'll start off with my Gramps League, where, like I said before, I played my mom, beat her pretty bad. Don't feel bad about it one bit. And so last week I started off a little stressed out, both my leagues, because I had in one league I had Larry Fitzgerald on the bench. He gave me 20 points. The other league I had Sammy Coates on the bench, and he gave me about 25 points. And I was just a little nervous, like, oh, what's going on? But, ultimately it didn't really matter. I came through. Seabass, too, in both my leagues, gave me 17 points as a kicker. 17 points. When does that ever happen? Never happens. So I was pretty happy about that. Probably the best week in fantasy I've ever had. Probably will be the best week in fantasy I ever have. So I'm really enjoying this, relishing in it, and hopefully I can keep this momentum going all the way through the season. But that was last week. This is this week. So, like I said, I'm starting in my Gramps League. I'm starting a quarterback. I have Tom Terrific again. At receivers, moving Larry Fitzgerald back into my starting lineup. And Mike Evans has a bye this week, so I'm benching him. And in a surprise turn of events, I'm starting Terrell Pryor. He's pretty been the only flash of anything that the Browns have. So I'm giving him a chance. They're playing the Titans, who are okay at defense, but like I said, he's about all they really got. So I'm taking a chance with this one. He might even have to play some quarterback, so maybe he can get a receiving touchdown, a passing touchdown. Who knows? But we'll see. All right, then on my running backs, I got Todd Gurley and Darren Sproles. And then at tight end, I'm keeping in Martellus Bennett, baby. Keeping it going until they can figure out a way to stop it, which they probably won't. And then on my flex, I got Amari Cooper, who, thankfully last week for me, broke out of his shell, knocked off the early season rust, and hopefully he can keep playing like he played last week for the rest of the season. And then, like always, my kicker, I got Seabass, and my defense, I got Cincinnati. All right, now moving on to my fantasy league. Again, Tom Terrific, and my quarterback. My receivers, I got Antonio Brown, like always, and still kind of up in the air what I should do with the second receiver spot. Right now, I put Sammy Coates in. I know it's kind of like a recency bias. Like if you listened last week, I said, I benched him because he wasn't playing well. But then this weekend, when he was on my bench, he played really well. I think his first catch was like a 72-yard touchdown. I got him in the starting lineup right now. It's gonna be between him, Alshon Jeffrey, and Tavon Austin. I don't like all 3 of those picks, but all of them are just so inconsistent and so up and down with their point scoring that I just don't know. End up being a game decision. Ultimately, I think I'm gonna keep Sammy Coates in, but yeah, we'll see. Then at running backs, I got Darren Sproles and Jalen Richard from the Raiders. This too, they didn't really give me much last week. Hopefully the Eagles can freaking, just throw the ball to Sproles and let him run. Frick, that's what he's been doing. That's been his bread and butter for the last, almost like 10 plus years, ever since he was on the Chargers. So I don't know why they don't do it. Just let him go. That's what he does. Jalen Richard, he's going to split carries with Denard Washington, but that's okay. As long as he just gets points for me. That's what I'm at. That's all I'm looking for. And at tight end, I got Martellus Bennett. It's going to be that way until they find a way to stop it. And then at my flex, I got Travis Kelce. And again, like always, on my kicker, I got Seabass, and my defense, I got Carolina. All right, guys, so those are my picks in my fantasy lineups going into week 6. And I threw in a little bit of baseball there, too. Like always, remember to share, like, subscribe, comment down below, too, if you got any tips or anything like that for me, or if you think I should change something. And make sure you give me a follow on all my ads down in the link below. And like always, hope your picks do better than mine. Hope your fantasy teams do better than mine, except for if you're playing me. Also, if you're gambling, do it safely and responsibly. If you're going to go out somewhere to watch the game, please don't drink and drive. Call an Uber or Lyft. It's easy. It's better. Trust me. And yeah, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Catch you guys next week. Peace.